For so many of us, the weather in Michigan is Michigan's weather. We know how it is every springtime. We get teased with the nice weather. We start to buy our plants, our tulips come up, and then snowfall. So how do you recover from that? And how can you have a beautiful lawn this year? Let's go ahead and bring in Rick Vespa. He is the president for English Gardens. The flowers look great behind you.
Thank you. It is a picture.
Oh, it is. So they're not live?
No. Right now, really don't have that kind of environment to film in. So,
well, I like that because I don't feel so bad, because usually people on a Zoom background, we can kind of tell, but that one looks really good.
Thank you.
So with that, Rick, for the people that are a little bit worried right now because we had the snowfall last week on our tulips and our trees that were starting to bloom, what advice do you have for them?
Well, in some ways, you've got to kind of let things take their own course. That being said, certain plants need protection, some don't. You planted pansies, for instance, they're fine. They're capable of handling snow and very, very cold temperatures and snapping back. Even the bulb plants, tulips, things like that. And most of your woody plants, trees and shrubs are going to be fine, with some exceptions, like some flowering plants that you might have to protect, particularly the newer varieties of hydrangeas need protection from the severe cold because those flowers are on the old stems that are starting to produce those buds.
Oh, I'm sitting here thinking about my hydrangea. Now I'm worried because I talk to them every year to get them to grow.
That's a good idea. But, it only goes so far. And so, the simple answer to the question is things are, all different plants require some different care when you have these wild swings in temperature. But it isn't new. It's been going on for years. But you have some new plant varieties that have kind of crept in along the way. So that creates a few more challenges than maybe we haven't experienced in years past.
We're talking with Rick Vespa. He's the president for English Gardens. I know that English Gardens, we have one right here in West Bloomfield. You've been around since 1954, but I'm sure you didn't experience a year like last year.
No, we've been around 67 years. My father and my two uncles founded the business. Now we have 9 second-generation members in the business, 4 third-generation members, and hundreds of dedicated people. We're known for our great people in our stores, and they really are the reason we are successful. But the reason I answer that with all that details, my father would never have imagined a year like we had last year. And in April of last year, we were closed in April of 20 for almost the entire month. And we were strategizing on how to reopen, spending time, energy, money on getting the stores prepared for reopening. And we were able to open, I think it was the 24th of April last year. And the demand was unprecedented. We were blessed to be a business that was in favor. People were growing their own fruits and vegetables, planting in the garden for fun and exercise. Plants make you feel good. The whole stay-at-home thing and home decorating and home improvement, a lot of that falls right into our category. So we were really blessed with a really great year, and this year is proving to be similar.
Yeah. So one of the things we're seeing with so many businesses right now, though, a shortage of employees. Are you experiencing that at English Gardens? We're
having a lot of difficulty hiring. I won't get into my views on that, but there are some challenges right now that are there, but the truth of the matter is, we're okay right now as far as staffing in our stores. But in the next several weeks, we ramp up quite a bit. we go from a core of about 100 and I don't know, let's call it 100 to 350 people. That's the change in the number of staff. So we use a lot of seasonal people, and basically there are going to be some challenges going forward. I know we have 6 stores in Metro Detroit, and then we have a landscape design build company as well. And the landscape side, we're having a lot of difficulty hiring as well.
Wow. Rick Vespa with us here on the MegaCast. He's the president for English Gardens. So do you anticipate this year people are going to continue to stay home, and that means more improvements to their yards?
Absolutely. We're seeing that trend in plants, flowers, indoor plants, for instance, has been a trend for a couple of years, but it's really kind of gone crazy. So we're fortunate, we're blessed with relationships in the supply chain that allow us to stay in stock on things when other people maybe don't have inventory. But yeah, we're seeing trends in patio furniture. Of course, the gardening season is just starting. And, because of the temperatures and the weather fluctuation, typically your safe planting time is, around mid-May. But we're seeing a ramp up of people buying things early, getting ready early, putting permanent trees and shrubs, this permanent structure of the garden in now, and then they'll supplement with perennials and annuals as they go. But yeah, the trends are continuing.
So with that, Rick, as so many more people are spending more time in their gardens, are you guys having to be plant doctors a lot? Because despite talking to my plants and watering them, I still always manage to kill a lot of them.
Well, you must be studying our information, our website. It's a great question, and it is one of our specialties, and I appreciate you asking it, actually. We pride ourselves in successful gardening. One of the things we try to do, we're not a hard sell company. We try to make sure you get what you need for your project, everything that you need to do it successfully, how to plant properly, proper fertilizers, and the proper things to treat problems as they come along, and how to use them the right way. So in our stores, we have these garden pharmacies, as we call them. And we have staff there that are trained in diagnosing plant problems of all kinds. And then we have solutions to recommend for treatment. And we tell you how to use those, not just what they are, but how to use them. That's so important.
It really is. So I'm one of those people too. Typically in May, you buy a lot of your flowers, your perennials. Yeah, no, perennials are the ones that you buy every year, right? No, annuals, my annuals. I always get it mixed up. That tells you how black about them I have, right? But despite my efforts, I always still manage to kill some, except for ferns. I do okay with the ferns. So then, do you typically see like a new surge of people come in like mid-July, usually around 4th of July, replacing all the plants that they killed?
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's one of the reasons people are still shopping in July, because things do, some gardening is not a science. It's part, let me say it this way, it's part science, part art. So people try things, and when you try different things, sometimes you're surprisingly successful, and sometimes you get the opposite result. So, but I think people are coming in to either replace things or jazz things up. Maybe they're having some parties or people over, not so much anymore, but I think that it's a combination of things, really. And that's another thing we pride ourselves in, is our assortment, not only in peak season, but in the extended seasons or the shoulder seasons. We tend to stay in stock with what's new and looking good.
Rick Vespa here with us on the MegaCast. He's the president for English Gardens. Do you want to talk a little bit about indoor plants? Can you take some of the ones from outdoors and bring them indoors? Like I have like a Easter lily right now. The flowers died off, but I'm like, can I plant that outside? I don't know.
Well, some people do and are successful. Again, I go back to the science and the art thing. When I talk to people in the store, it's funny, I'll I'll say, no, you really can't do that. It's grown in a greenhouse. You know, it's not really going to survive the winter. And then their next comment is, oh, I've done it before. So trial and error with some of this, but typically those lilies are not going to come back year after year if you plant them in the ground. There are lilies that you plant in the spring and will flower in the summer. And again, there's different plants like perennials versus the bulbs versus, again, you mentioned annuals and perennials. So some of these plants do not survive inside and out. But to the houseplant thing, the craze in the houseplants, we're seeing houseplants used outdoors. And in your combination planters, people will now use some houseplants, which they're great accent plants. They give you a lot of different textures and colors we didn't have with just annuals. And those can be moved indoors. You'd have to pull them out of the containers or repot them, but they can be reused indoors.
So with that, Rick, what trends do you anticipate that you're going to see this summer?
Well, I think the trends are still very much fruit and vegetable gardening. Very, very, very strong. Again, the houseplant thing is continuing to be strong. General creation of an outdoor space or the outdoor room. People are building structures. You can actually create rooms with plant material. That's a really hot thing, and then supplementing with decor and patio furniture. It's that whole outdoor room and outdoor experience where people are spending more time at their home and want to enjoy the outdoors as much as the indoors.
So with that, Rick, with the springtime and the summer months, we know that we also get a lot of critters. The big problem in our area here is trying to keep the deer out of our gardens. Any recommendations or advice that you have for people?
Well, without getting into too much detail, the deer and the rabbit population have gone ballistic. And we have a number of controls. Most of them are organics things. They're not poisons. They're organic sprays that you use or granules that you use. And then there's physical barriers like fences and cages and things like that. So there are ways of preventing or discouraging the animals, but there are so many out there, it's very, very difficult. There's also some plants that are more resistant to deer and rabbit, or mostly deer, than others. We have a list in the store of those plants that can help you when you're making your planting decisions.
That's good advice, because I will say, I know some of my neighbors have started putting like the fencing around their plants, but to me, it takes away from the beauty to try to, prevent the deer from eating them, because last year they went to town on all my hostas. And then when they started on my hydrangea, I was like, oh, no, we're going to have a talk here. But you want to avoid, some of the fencing because it just doesn't look pretty.
Right. And, we have a huge department of animal control or animal repellents. And one of the things about those products is you have to use them properly. They require some reapplication throughout the season for the maximum effectiveness. And in some cases, you want to alternate the products you use so the animals don't get used to it.
Huh. See, I learn something new every day. So, Rick, with that, just another minute or two with you here on the MegaCast. If someone hasn't been to your store since the pandemic, what can they expect when they go in? I always look at English Gardens as like, you're like the fancy garden store to me.
Well, I think you're asking about maybe our safety measures. Mm-hmm. So, back in April of last year, we worked very hard at how we were going to reopen safely for our team members and for our customers. And we put in a whole protocol of cleaning. We sterilize shopping cart handles as they come back to the store. We have screening at all of our service counters. plexiglass screening. Our staff wears a mask, and we ask our customers to wear a mask as well. And in some of our locations, we actually have installed air purification in our HVAC systems. You've probably heard of the iWaves and things like that. I think I'm missing something. We did so many things to try to keep everyone safe, and we've been very fortunate that we haven't had any issues in the stores.
Well, it's been great having you with us. Anything maybe I didn't touch on that you want to add before we say goodbye?
No, I thank you for having us give a chance to talk a little bit. It's that time of year. It's the time of year to plant, and we'll be here for you. We've got great people and great products in our stores, and we can't wait to see you.
Start early. Get your hands dirty and dig in the dirt, right?
You got it.